How are we feeling from that polar bear plunge?
Yeah!
Cool, yeah, thank you guys for just for everything at the Move Conference. So blessed to be here. Just thank you for this opportunity to share my testimony, and I do see it as a privilege, so just shout out to all the staff. So yeah, to open up, kind of like my guy Eddie yesterday, you know, I started off in a church that I didn't really know what my faith was all about, but you know, I consider myself religious just because I did traditions and rituals, and so it wasn't until, and basically I saw myself as a good person because of that. I was like, all right, I'm gonna live with God. God is pleased with me because I've done X, Y, and Z. But it wasn't until I had a good friend who was actually Muslim who challenged my views, and that left me feeling like, oh wow, I really don't know what I believe. And so that actually caused me to dig deeper. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure this faith out, see what this is all about. And it really just left me feeling like I couldn't trust myself. And you know, I became paranoid. How do I know that I can trust my senses? How do I know I'm not being deceived? So long story short, I was just stripped of all confidence in myself, and to the point where I cried out to God, and I prayed that God would just reveal the truth to me. And as it says in the scripture, seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. And God revealed himself to me in a profound way, in two ways actually. So just some strangers were evangelizing, sparked a conversation with me, and just shared the gospel. Very comfort style, if you know that style of evangelism, but yeah. So they gave me the gospel, and that was the first time that I was like, wow, you know, I wore a cross around my neck my whole life, consider myself a good person, I'm so religious, but that was the first time it clicked, and I was like, whoa, that's what the cross means. Because I knew all the cliches, Jesus died for my sins, he paid the price, the death that I deserve, but in that moment, you know, all those years of religion didn't really teach me what the main message of the Bible is. And then also God provided a good friend in high school who, you know, just planting seeds, invited me to a Bible study at his church for young adults, and you know, so blessed that the Lord revealed himself to me. And then I got plugged into that church, and I just remember reflecting on all of that and saying, wow, I'm so indebted to God that he was so faithful to answer my prayer and provide an answer to my cry. So that left me, you know, feeling indebted, and the desire was there to reach someone else. Like they reached me, I want to reach someone else with this good news. So I graduated high school, and as I go to college, and again, I take this desire with me, this burning in my heart to reach my generation. And so it led me to make a promise to God early in college, my freshman year. And basically my promise was, Lord, I'm not here for a degree. I'm not here for a GPA or for connections. I'm not here to compete even. I'm not here for championships. I'm here to preach the gospel and make disciples. And it wasn't a cop-out so I could just, you know, flunk my classes. It was honest that, man, I'm here to serve Jesus. I'm here to reach my generation with this gospel that, like, they reached me. So yeah, then if anybody knows Carry the Love, their college ministry, they came to my school and they challenged me. They're like, man, there's this dude on a baseball team we heard about. He did a Bible study with his team. You should do something like that. So I was like, nah, I can't. You know, my excuses. But the seed was planted. And then, so I was reading a book at the time called Not a Fan by Kyle Edelman. And in that book, it talks about, imagine you find yourself watching a film of your life, and in that film, you see your life, you know, the course of your life, and it gets to a certain point where things go differently than it did in reality. But the film depicts if you said yes to God, but in reality you said no. And you see what would have happened if you said yes. And then from that one yes, what happened after that, and how that one yes turned into so many more. And I'm just reading that all at once.
Wow.
And I'm just like, man, I gotta do something. You know, I gotta reach my team. I gotta start a little Bible study. So I ran to one of my teammates, my guy Corey, and I was like, yeah, Corey, here's the idea. And he laughs. He goes, ha ha, Padme, no one's coming. No one's coming to this. But he said, I'll be there. I was like, all right, that's it. That's all I needed. So I booked a room, prepared the study, and then we told our friends on the team. And yeah, so the first study, to my surprise, half the team showed up.
Wow.
And
Woo.
it was a solid study. And I just remember leaving that feeling just so in awe, like, wow. Because I believed the lie for so long that, you know, the culture sees Jesus as this ancient teacher that's irrelevant to the 21st century.
Yeah.
And the Bible is just an ancient text, and there's no help in it. But it was such a lie. In that moment, I realized, wow, my generation is hungry for Jesus, and they're looking for something more. And yeah, so that's how we started. And then we just kept meeting every week. And before that study even ended, the guys were like, man, when are we meeting again? We love this. This is awesome. So, and one verse that God really spoke to me through, we were just talking about this last night with some of the guys in our room, that like, if you want God to speak, open up your Bible and God speaks to you. And God spoke to me through Matthew 9:37, where it says, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just hold on to that verse. I'll come back to it. But so we started meeting every week, and we just started to grow in numbers. And then, you know, one of our coaches even came out a few times. We would always meet like on the road in hotels, pre-meet Bible studies. And so yeah, it continued to grow. And then after my junior year, I actually finally got trained up in how to lead a study. I was just kind of winging it at that point. But I finally got trained up. Everyone should get trained up like they taught us yesterday. But yeah, after I got trained up, it grew even more. You know, our teaching was solid, and we had some good studies. So now I'm in a place where, so I'm a fifth year, I graduated in May, and I'm in a place where I'm now working with other leaders to, you know, see them get trained up and continue once I'm gone next year. But man, I just want to I spoke to some of the members and how they've reflected on our Bible study. And, you know, they've expressed how it's changed their work ethic altogether. And that's something we always try to go through is that Christian work ethic. Which truly, I believe, is second to none. Colossians 3:23, that work at it with all your heart as if you're working at it for God. You can't beat that, and there's no higher standard than to do something for the Lord. But so, you know, my teammates have expressed how that has influenced how they view their sport, how they view their life, and just how that relates to every other area of their life besides athletics. And yeah, one of my friends just basically explained, like, it's humbled me so much because now I realize that anything I do, even if I do it on my own, the very fact that I exist and my talents and abilities are a gift from God. So like everything I do truly should be done for the glory of God, even if it's not intentional.
Yeah.
Because I exist by God's grace. It's not my own merited favor. I didn't merit it. So I forgot to mention, but when I first arrived at Wagner, so I came from a pretty successful track program in high school. We would win the sectional meet about every year. And so Wagner never won historically a conference meet. And so after we started doing this Bible study, I kid you not, we've won every championship we've competed in after my freshman year. Wow. Yeah, crazy stuff. And no joke, I truly believe that the Bible study and that implementing that Christian work ethic has changed just how we view everything. And I'm not going to plead with you to start a Bible study with your team so you win championships. But I will say this, that if you take care of God's business, he'll take care of yours. Yeah. If you take care of his business, he'll take care of yours. So, but yeah. And so I just reflected back on that promise I made to God. And when I graduated graduated college, again, I had a fistful of rings from all the championships, and it was amazing. But the number one thing that stood out to me that, you know, I kept reflecting on was, man, we did it. You know, we kept that promise, and look at what the Lord did. But yeah, and from what I understand later, you guys will have an opportunity to make a similar commitment if it's on your heart to the Lord. And I would just quote the words of Jesus when he said, "Count the cost of being my disciple." And I would just plead with you, count the cost of making such a commitment to God, because it is costly. But I encourage you with the words of Paul when he said, "The suffering of this present time is not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed." And though it is costly and it will cost you, it will be worth it. And you'll be like me when you graduate. It was so worth it, and you'll just plead with others to do the same. And yeah, so back to Matthew 9. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. I would just urge you to go check that verse out. It's spoken to me. It's challenged me in so many ways. And just to think, what would it look like if we believe that to be true? And yeah, we're Christians. We believe the Bible's true. Yeah, the words of Jesus are true. But how would our life look like if we actually believe that that verse is true? That on our teams, the harvest is plentiful. And even among our coaches and everybody else, the harvest is plentiful. There's a huge harvest of souls to be reaped. And I just challenge you, if we truly believe that, how would our life reflect that? So I pray for you guys. I will pray for you, and I just pray that you guys go out to, all over the Northeast, and you just make commitments to the Lord and just serve Him. And yeah, it will be worth it. So thank you.